Good morning, afternoon, or night, my fellow cakes, and welcome back or to my channel. Today's video, I'm going to be going over my transition, and I'm going to be going over the history of it, kind of giving the background of how I got to where I am today. So this one's not as, really pre-written as the one before, or the one that's going to be coming after this, because you can't really pre-write stuff like this. So I'll start off with the first common question that I usually hear is, when did you know? Obviously this answer is different for everybody, but it's something I kind of always knew, I guess I'd say. But I didn't fully understand what it all was. So, oh yeah, I forgot to start off, 26-year-old trans woman, in case you missed it in my last video. And, yeah, so I lived many years of my life not really knowing you had a choice and denying what was originally assigned at birth to you. I remember I was ostracized at a young age because, for example, I liked cute kitten shirts, which I still don't think should be gendered anyway. So I didn't really understand this concept, and then I never really felt comfortable in my body for pretty much as long as I can remember. But I didn't think there was an option. I thought the only transgender possibilities for people out there was those like play on joke ones you see that like Chandler's father mother from Friends is a common one where it's not, that person isn't taken seriously and it's just a joke. And obviously I didn't want to become a joke in my life. And so I ended up seeing a transition video online about, say, maybe 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago. So I watched this video and then I have like a aha moment. I realized it is possible to do this. And I was like, well, yeah, that makes sense to me. So I decided to research and research and research. And still after months of researching, that's what I knew. But at this point, I was scared in my life to tell anyone. So I just continued trying to live life, finally figuring out what this problem that's been eating me inside for years was. Because I didn't want to be a burden on anybody, and I felt like me coming out would be a burden to my friends and family, to my girlfriend, to my daughter. So I was scared. And it just kind of kept on eating at me, eating at me. And then eventually we were kind of tit-tatting because obviously I was suppressing something, which having internalized feelings is a never good thing. So I just blurted it out. And my girlfriend was super accepting of me. And the first day I told her, she ended up putting on makeup for me. And I was able to finally go out in public as myself. Now, this was probably, I'd say, March in 2018. Sorry I'm talking a little fast. It's, kind of a difficult topic to talk about. I always feel, like, awkward with it, and I don't really know why. I know I shouldn't, but human. So, yeah, it was March 2018 was that first time going out. And then quickly after, this was me. So I wanted to address that this was me. So I changed my name over. I changed my license over. I got my birth certificate amended. Luckily, I was born in a state that made doing that all pretty easy for the most part. So that went through, but I still wasn't out to anybody besides just my girlfriend and a few of her family members that we knew were very LGBTQ friendly. So in the state I was living in, none of my friends lived there, so I didn't have to worry about hiding it from them. Most of my family didn't live there, so I didn't have to worry about hiding it from them, but I worked with my family. So, majority of your time spent at work, and I would have to go in as a boy mode, which was difficult because obviously my boy mode was getting worse and worse. I was just starting hormones, and we also had another coworker that was transitioning, And a couple of the coworkers thought it would be funny to make jokes insinuating I was transitioning, which I was, but not publicly, and then continuing to make fun of the other coworker transitioning, which is just rude on my behalf, on the other coworkers' behalf, and just really the community in general, in my opinion. So, I was facing problems there, and I had family that worked with me, so I couldn't feel comfortable going to work like that because I didn't come out to my family, and I wouldn't feel fair if I didn't tell them first. So eventually, I worked up the courage to tell them, which I'd say was generally positive, but I was met with some mixed, review news, which I'm not going to throw anyone under the bus at all because that's just rude. But yeah, I was met with some negative comments at some points, and not just by them, but people in general. Um, and like how me coming out was more of a burden to other people, that was one. And, that made me feel terrible because that's something I already felt. But at the same time, I was struggling in my life before I came out with extreme depression and, attempts at self medication, not HRT self medication, but just trying to do anything to not feel like I wasn't me. And, yeah, I mean, I remember laying in bed wishing that, maybe if I just die, I could get reincarnated the right way. That would be worth it to me. So, anyway, going back to where I'm supposed to be in this, I come out to them and get the mixed reviews, and I get a job offer to go somewhere else, get full time, and it was a better area that I felt like would be to raise my family up in. So we decided to go for it. So we do, which then, I was somewhat closer to my family where I was. Now I'm really far away from anybody, far away from them, far away from my friends. Still not out on Facebook or really public, just kind of small circle people know. And now this new job I'm working at knows, obviously, because I wanted to tell them right as I started so that I wouldn't have to go through the, awkwardness of having to do that all over and switch over. So then about a month goes by, so we're about in June, and then the last day of June, I decided, since it was technically Pride Month, to tell everyone I was, that I'm trans and who I am. I'm still the same person. Pretty much just, I like to wear different clothes. And I was met with extreme amounts of support and love from so many people around me. It was just truly wonderful. And so at this point, I was a couple months in on taking HRT. And then this is where things started to go crazy again. The place we were living had so many issues. There was lead paint, there was subfloor showing, there was apparently asbestos, there was black mold. So obviously, I'm worrying about these issues so much instead of my transition issues. So I put everything on the back burner for a while, which caused me to miss the chance to enroll for insurance. So I think I only had one refill after my first refill, which put me into 6 months of taking HRT. So all this time while I'm trying to figure out how are we going to live, I'm also trying to figure out how am I going to transition and see a doctor before I run out of my meds. Which figured out our living situation, but I didn't figure out the doctor thing. So then I had to wait until January 1st until I could get insurance to see a doctor, which I ended up running out of my HRT, which made me spiral into a bad depression. And at the time when I was taking HRT at that point, I was taking 50 milligrams of the Spiro and I believe 2 milligrams of estradiol, the subliminal, the under your tongue. And that was for about 3 months. Yeah, so I took that for the 3 months, lose my insurance, take it for another 3 months, and then I'm out. And I go into this deep, deep low. And I continued on a cycle of putting myself on the back burner. And I was scared. I read into about gatekeeping, which I was worried that might happen to me up here because I'm in a new place. I'm not really sure. I was worried I'd have to go through a therapy thing again, which I had to originally, but it turns out I didn't actually have to. Which, I'm not bashing therapy by any means. It's helped so many people, but I didn't feel like I needed it. I knew who I was. I know that I struggle with depression, and I just wanted to be back on my meds. My meds honestly make me feel the way I feel like I should be all the time. Isn't that how everybody wants to feel? So I put that on the back burner, and then, it kept on getting lower and lower. And while I'm already feeling so bad about this, and now I'm not making progress in my transition anymore, I'm faced every single day going out in public and being stared at by people, thinking our family's disgusting because of specifically me, or at work being misgendered. Even when it happened on accident, I would think to myself, well, if that happened by accident, that means they're just doing that to be polite, which of course is great, but that also means I don't pass enough for people to even somewhat recognize me as female. So that was very hard in general, and it's still something I face all the time. I'm aware that you can probably tell, you can see some shadow. I'm trying not to wear makeup in this video. You can see shadow a little bit, and I did shave. I have to every single morning, which is sometimes really hard when you're having a dysphoric morning. I wear these glasses because they hide my brow ridge, which can be looked at as masculine. So that helps soften that a little bit. This is how I generally look most days. I usually don't have time to do makeup, and I live paycheck to paycheck. Makeup's expensive. So I usually try to only do that when I'm on my days off where I feel like I'm going out, might as well. But that also means I'm met with more misgendering because of an androgynous look, which, androgynous means not really male or female, or both at the same time. And that part can be hard, but being back on hormones now makes it a little bit easier. I ended up going back on hormones after being off of them from November until like about 3 months ago or so. So yeah, right around May, I'd say again. May or June. And I've been on them for 3 months now again, and they just upped my dose. So I'm on 200 milligrams of Spiro and 4 milligrams of estradiol, and it honestly, I haven't really noticed much adversities compared to positives, which is fantastic. It's still hard though, especially with the going out in public thing. I get scared all the time because you hear stories. But I also try to be as open as I can be if anybody asks questions about my transition, non-surgical related questions, but in general questions that are polite, I'll respond to them. Or if people do misgender, I won't try to make a big deal about it because I don't know, if you do that, that sets a bad precedent. It's almost like I'm trying to be a good example. But it can be hard some days. It really can be. So I'm also doing this to try to document some of the facial changes from the HRT. When you take this medicine, it redistributes your body fat across your body, including your face. So I'm not sure if I'm going to be doing this weekly or every other week. I can try to talk about more social aspects of my transition. And I know this video was a little bit all over the place, but like I said way earlier, it's a little hard to talk about. And I'm just trying to work on pretty much making myself be able to pass in public. And it's not just for the public's opinion, but it makes me feel better about myself. So I've been trying to work on my voice more. My posture is something that I've gotten a lot better with. My skin's also very sensitive, though, so this whole entire summer that just went by, I didn't wear a single pair of shorts or a dress without leggings the entire summer. because my skin's sensitive and my legs are kind of hairy, so I was too embarrassed all summer long, probably almost overheating because of it. Not saying anyone asked me to do that, of course not. That's on me, but that's the social aspects of this. That if widespread acceptance isn't really talked about, then of course you're going to be in fear. But I also try to look at the good of there's so many people that have shown me love and support. Right before I started making YouTube, actually, I was really in a deep, deep low, and I posted about some of the struggles I go through online. And so many people, including the people that are in this new area with me, actually, a lot of the people from this new area that I'm in that I've met through work have been so wonderful, including other friends that live far away and family. And of course, my girlfriend's my biggest support system in my whole entire life. You know, she helps me with my makeup, she helps me with my hair, she helps me with little tips, just to get through and make passing easier for me in a non-critical or judgmental way. And being open just strengthened our relationship. If I had any advice to anybody with this, it'd be definitely try to do it sooner than later. If you can. I understand if you have families that aren't accepting or if you're scared yourself. But if you can do it earlier, try to, because it's better to do it earlier. My body has some changes that now I have to afford $40,000 surgery for to fix that wouldn't have been an issue if I took the meds earlier, or at least not as bad of an issue. Yeah, and just try to be honest with yourself with it all. I'm trying to make these type of videos to try to give back because transition videos is how I learned that I could actually be me. So I feel like I've got to try to give back.